Now I'll return a little bit to where this is, but you can get the general gist of it. It's very old Derbyshire Dales, and it's amazing. There's all sorts of stuff going on here, but we got a bit of a problem because we got a kind of wet cellar, and we don't really quite know why the cellar's very wet. Well, we do now, because Pete's been doing some digging. And we've just taken the what was thought to be a stone wall. So I think this was just a horrible salty wall, wasn't it? And there was all sorts of mank coming out here. I think if you can see it's all salty, and it's been cement rendered. When you see all the fluff on the wall, that's all salts, Epsomite. And I had a bit of a suspicion that there was something going on in here, but I wasn't absolutely sure. There's new brick, and then there's a little alcove here, and the little alcove I think was actually the bread oven. And we now know that was because I've opened up the flue in the side there. But the brilliant thing about this is that in the back of it, as you can see, well, we've still got the old Victorian cast iron range. You can just see the cast iron starting to appear out of the soot and the rubble. Now, how much of the range is actually still in situ, I don't know, but it certainly looks like we've got a bit of history starting to emerge here. You can see it right back there. It's all in place, and far from being wet and horrible, if you look up the chimney, you'll see that chimney, I don't know if you can see it, yeah, there, is absolutely bone dry. The only thing in here that is wet and horrible is all this, the cement rendered walls. And what we're going to do is encourage airflow. If we get some air through there, get rid of all of the cement rendered walls, these horrible things, get some airflow through that window, open this up, get some air up the flues, and we've just found the other problem, which was in here, and we've got lots and lots of water and all sorts of gunky stuff running down here. This is just like, uh-oh, it's a wet cellar. And it's just chucking it in through there. But you know what? We're digging down about there?
Yeah.
Right on the corner there?
Yeah.
And we've got a dirty, great big broken drain. So every time anybody has a bath, all the water's coming out of that hole there and running across the cellar floor. So I think we've solved the mystery of the wet cellar in the space of about 3 or 4 hours. I think we're on top of it. And I think what we're also going to do is we're going to open the coal hole, and we're going to whack a hole through there somewhere. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do it yet, but by the end of the day I am determined to have a hole here. And I want to get some airflow through there. Somehow we'll do it. We will get some airflow, and we'll jolly well get this thing sorted. And then a hole through the other side. So I think the majority of this cellar is actually quite dry. You know, it's got a lovely old floor, and I don't think there's a problem. You can see dry patches on the floor down there. It's perfectly okay. And it's dry down there. It's just because it's saturated with water coming in. Every time anybody has a bath, the water's been coming in and it's just saturated. So, you know, I think we can get this nice and dry down here. This is cool. And we got woohoo! A good old range in there. I don't know how much of a range is left, but we might have a bit more of a poke at it, but we've got rather a lot of, and for anybody that wants to know, this is what causes all this trouble. You've got years and years of salts from that fire. The they're all in the chimney and they're very acidic, and what we've got here is just wet, mushy, acid, very, very acidic, salty, sooty mush, and this is enough to kill a building. And you can see the proximity wherever it's anywhere near the pipework, you know, it's so salty and grotty and horrible that, you know, the pipework is just disintegrating, and that is the effect of all of this salt that's coming out of the chimney. So when we've cleaned all this out and we've got rid of all of this, I think we'll have a nice dry cellar. I think it'll be brilliant. You can just see the top of the original arch to the thing there, and in fact there's a little bit of lime plaster. If you look there, that's the edge of the lime plaster, and I think there was probably a mantle there. You can see there's a little bit of a line along it where there was a mantle with a brick arch, and then I think that brick arch is a much more recent one. I think that's a later one. It's been built underneath this one. And then we've got a bit of Victorian iron in here. Now this ironwork needs to come out because that is rusting and expanding, and I think you can see where the end of it is there. There's a little bit of a slight crack, and that's because you've got rusty iron expanding in the wall and causing structural problems. So this all gets stripped off, or will do, and then we open this out and we get some breathability into it, and I thought we'll have a nice dry cellar. But I mean, you can see from the colour on the wall, you know, it's a chemical soup in there. So this does need some quite serious work. And then in here we've got a little, that's the opening to the bread oven, and you know, it's full of soot, all of which needs to come out. But you know, that little arch over the top, I think, is the top of the oven, and that's the flue that went out sideways. And you'll probably find in the wall here somewhere will be pins where the door was, but God knows. You might even find the bread oven door in there somewhere. I mean, quite often they used to just take it off and sling it in the hole, and then throw some brickwork on top of it. Don't know, but that's cool. It's a real feature, and you know, beautifully built. You look at the arch over the top with a keystone, and then we've got all these gorgeous arches here with keystones, and a blocked up hole there, another keystone. So it's really pretty. But you can see on the wall, I think you can see it's quite, it's glistening, and this is, you know, it's moisture, and there's no ventilation in here at all. There's a lot more ventilation now that that's opened, and if you, as I say, if you look up, the important thing you've got to realise is that these, I mean, if we point that up like that, you'll see that chimney there, look, it's dry as a bone.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the chimney itself is fine. It's all the rubbish that's dropping off, and this stuff that the chimney's full of. So this is a salutary lesson to anybody who's got old chimneys. You know, you, just because the chimney is blocked up, don't leave it blocked up. Unblock it and get all the gunk out of it. You know, that stuff is just, it's poison to a building. It's absolutely dreadful. So there you go. Cool.